Authorities are racing against time to get people out of the New South Wales South Coast ahead of more dangerous bushfire conditions. Power has been cut to tens of thousands of homes and major supplies, including food and water, are running low. 2 large fuel tankers arrived in Bateman's Bay late last night to help people refuel. New South Wales Police briefly opened the Princess Highway northbound, allowing stranded holiday travellers to head home. The Australian Navy has deployed a vessel to help deal with a looming humanitarian crisis. The other new information, the RFS has given an update this morning on the number of properties destroyed. On the New South Wales South Coast, 382 homes have been lost since New Year's Eve and just under 1,300 homes destroyed across the state this season. Our reporters are in key locations in Victoria's East Gippsland and in the New South Wales bushfire zones. We begin with Trudy McIntosh on the south coast of New South Wales. Trudy, tourists have been told to leave before Saturday.
The authorities having a very clear message, Danica. They've been telling tourists from as far north as Bateman's Bay all the way down to the Victorian border that they need to leave before Saturday. That's a 200-kilometre or so stretch of this New South Wales coast, but they're really concerned about conditions going into Saturday, the fear that they will be much worse than the conditions that we saw here on New Year's Eve. And the message is being heeded. We've seen pictures out of Bateman's Bay, that town that has been so popular with so many tourists. Really long lines over this big bridge over the Clyde River, people trying to leave north to Sydney. Also, there had been attempts for people to try and come down here via the Brown Mountain. This is one of the other main ways to get from the coast inland. We know the Kings Highway, which connects Bateman's Bay into Canberra, has been shut off now for many weeks. Here, this highway has been reopened and we have seen hundreds of cars streaming along here this morning. There were similar scenes yesterday afternoon as people try and leave this area. But that task is made more difficult. There has been power outages right along the coast and that has made the phone signal almost impossible to use, internet also hard. So the message from the RFS is if you know people in this area and are able to get in contact with them, to spread the word that people need to know that it will not be safe necessarily to be in this area heading into Saturday, Danica.
Certainly extraordinary pictures there of all those cars lining up at the fuel station. Let's go live now to Stella Todorovic at RFS headquarters. Stella, there's been a recent update on the number of homes lost.
That's right, Danica. 382 homes have been lost on the south coast since New Year's Eve. This figure for New South Wales as a whole sits at 1,298 homes since the start of the bushfire season, but the full extent of the damage is still unclear and there are very real concerns that this number will rise come this weekend when these conditions are expected to worsen. We're going to see temperatures into the 40s in parts of the south coast as well as in Sydney, and those strong erratic winds are set to return after a very brief reprieve. RFS Commissioner Shane Fitzsimmons says that fire crews on the south coast are doing everything they can to ensure that lives and property are safe come Saturday.
Lots of backburning, lots of control line establishment and consolidation. There's machinery on the ground, there's firefighters on the ground, mopping up and patrolling, but also putting in really important backburns to try and shore up protection between properties at risk and the main fire front. We've got a number of very large fires, most of which are up over 100,000 hectares of each. So we've actually got thousands of kilometres of fire edge that's coming down off the escarpment down towards the more populated areas.
But Danica, tourists and residents alike have been warned that it will be almost impossible to contain these fires ahead of worsening conditions on Saturday. Since the start of the week, 7 people have been killed in this bushfire tragedy on the south coast of New South Wales. There are currently 3 watch and act warnings in place for fires burning in the region, and residents are being advised to monitor conditions despite the reprieve that fire crews are facing today. There are 110 fires burning right across New South Wales and 50 of these are yet to be contained. So certainly a long couple of days ahead for fire crews and the residents that are nervously awaiting Saturday.
A massive evacuation effort, that's for sure, Stella. Let's go live now to Andrea Carruthers, who's in Victoria's East Gippsland region. Andrea, thousands of people stranded in the Victorian town of Mallacoota will finally be able to leave today.
That's right. It's been a really traumatic few days for those people stranded at Malakuta. When 6 people were airlifted yesterday, the sick and the frail going first. Some of those actually had to be taken off via stretchers. Now, the HMAS Truels will arrive at 10 o'clock this morning after leaving Sydney yesterday. Now, bringing with it, it'll also have fuel for generators, food, water, all of these dwindling supplies that really are, well, they've been running out, as we know, and it's been causing for a really rough time in Malakuta at the moment. But importantly, it'll also be able to start taking some of these people away from Malakuta. That main road into that area and out of that area completely cut off, so this will be the only way out for many people. Meanwhile, other residents around the East Gippsland have been able to start returning home, but some of them have been warned that it still might not be safe, with conditions expected to flare up again come Saturday, when we will see those really disastrous conditions come back again. Meanwhile, the damage toll around here is rising. We obviously had the first confirmed victim of the bushfires yesterday, 67-year-old Mick Roberts. He was found in his Buchan home by his nephew. There's also grave fears for the 4 others who remain missing across the area. We know now that more than 500,000 hectares of the East Gippsland has been burnt this bushfire season, and at least 60 structures have been destroyed.